We're back with Representative Florida 1, Jimmy Patronis. Jimmy, sorry for those technical issues. Now we got you by phone. You're good to go. Tell us first, Jimmy, Florida 1, where is it? Which area do you represent geographically?
Sure. So it's northwest Florida. It's Pensacola. It's Santa Rosa County. It's Okaloosa County. It's Fort Walton Beach. It's Gulf Breeze. It's Crestview. It's the best kept secret in the whole United States.
Basically, you represent where God goes on vacation, as far as I'm concerned. That's God's country right there.
And we also, we train, we've got 5 military installations. If you name it, if you fly an airplane, if you're in special forces, if you are into hypersonic weapons, all these are developed, trained, created right there as we use the Gulf of America testing range as a backdrop for creating the best and brightest.
We ever going to get, this is a sidebar question, can only spend like 20 seconds on it, but are we ever going to get Amtrak to fix the line between New Orleans and Mobile ever? And that then
Listen to you. You know about that.
Yes, I know about them. Look, I travel Amtrak all the time. I'm one of the few people that believe in the system. And that thing went down, and this was way before Katrina. It went down, the bridge collapsed, and that broke the line from Louisiana, from New Orleans through Mobile into Jacksonville. When are we going to get that back up?
Yeah, so it's funny that was one of the things I've been engaging in as a dialogue. Primarily, the concern has been the ridership. You just didn't have that many people from the Jacksonville market that were looking to go into the New Orleans market. So this is where that ridership was not sustaining that. So it became, once the damage had happened, it really didn't. Matter of fact, there towards the end of its service, they actually had certain trains they had canceled and bought people bus tickets. So I mean, it's going to require a subsidy to get it up and running, to jumpstart it, to try to find if there's enough ridership to make it sustainable.
Well, take the money that the fraud in Minneapolis and Ohio and California, take some of that fraud and build your line back. You know, there's a movie, Field of Dreams. It's called If You Build It, They Will Come. They came. I mean, if you don't have a line, if you want to go on ridership, you would have 2 lines on Amtrak. You would have Washington, D.C. to Boston, and you would have L.A. to St. Louis Obispo. That's it. You'd have 2 trains, and maybe Chicago, Milwaukee, if you just went on ridership. I mean, a national train system is to move people from point A to point B and give an option. And if you give them the option, they'll go. If there's no option, they don't go.
That's right. No, you're right. And I'm a big believer where the federal government, as it's been sending money to places like Minneapolis, they might as well have set it on fire. So, I mean, at least this is where we're creating some actually jobs that are functioning and providing a service, as opposed to all this money being shipped out in duffel bags to Somalia.
Okay, we're with Jimmy Patronis. By the people that don't know this was Matt Gaetz' old seat. Now it's Jimmy Patronis, but just a beautiful area of the nation. President Trump, I want to get your comments on the Venezuela disposal of Maduro, and now taking the 30,000 to 50,000 barrels of oil. And Rubio saying at the press conference yesterday that I was there, by the way, saying that, look, this is going to go on in perpetuity till we get this money back. What are your colleagues saying, and what is your view on that, Jimmy?
So, look, the Democrats, they've been so hypocritical, talking out both sides of the mouth on this issue. These are the same men and women that under a Biden administration were demanding Maduro's removal. You had the Biden administration who put a $25 million bounty on his head. And now, once he is brought to justice, now they want to scream foul. They want to talk about how much did the exercise cost, the mobilization. And look, and President Trump said this, so did Pete Hegseth. The carrier strike group, all that equipment, it's going to be somewhere in the world at all given times. It just happened to be that time it's going to be off the coast of Venezuela. And those operations that took place, you had to be living under a rock if you didn't think at some point, with that much mobilization, with that much of a negative narrative coming out of Venezuela for the last 14, 18 years since Maduro's been there, that something wasn't bound to happen. So the Democrats are very naive to question why we decided to do something there. Now, as with the oil, President Trump has essentially looked at, all right, we have got to get into, and this is my opinion, we have got to get into a better position of negotiating with these partners that are trying to take over the Western and Northern Hemisphere. So as, you know, China and Russia and Iran are dependent on this Venezuelan oil as part of their debt service, you name it, what a better way to have the attention of countries that really don't care for us much, other than, you know, getting the middle between their transactions on ill-gotten oil from Venezuela. So, you know, the president is committed to making sure that those dollars for those oils that are being collected are going back to stand back up Venezuela, to go back to the Venezuelan people. It's their resource. They should be getting the royalties off of it, and to try to create a functional country that actually takes care of its people as opposed to living under a dictatorship.
If the current Venezuelan communists, which they are, in fact, some people say the VP that's in control now is worse than Maduro was. If they don't cooperate with us, are you opposed to a second wave to go in there and get them out?
You know, so I think what you'll see is, as what Marco was explaining to us yesterday, they're in constant dialogues, and you got to think the attention that taking Maduro out has gotten the entire country of Venezuela on a heightened alert. So now, do you want more engagement by the United States, or do you want to be a cooperative partner in this part of the world? So, you know, I think there's definitely some flare-ups there in Venezuela, as you have other players of political significance that want to try to fill the vacuum of Maduro being gone. They're trying to assert themselves. There's fingerprint taking place as these different leaders are trying to, you know, point out that I did not, you know, have anything to do with Maduro's, you know, capture, as probably the amount of conspiracy theories amongst the remaining leadership in Venezuela has created kind of a fragile governing system. I think that will settle down. Marco is incredibly competent. He has been immersed in this particular issue for his whole entire time while he was in the United States Senate. There's nobody better right now to be the diplomat to help manage and create the new type of governance that needs to be there in place in Venezuela. But, you know, you got to give these people a chance to get the dust settled. I mean, President Trump went out there without a single loss of U.S. life, captured this fella, bringing him to justice, but it wasn't without doing some damage to Venezuela, and they're shell shocked right now, as they should be. You know, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Oh, Jimmy Patronis, you're absolutely it. Congressman Jimmy Patronis with us, Florida District 1, met Gates' old seat, Panhandle, Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, God's country, sits on budget economics. I want to get to, we're kind of all over the map today, but it's kind of fun because there's so many issues going on. I want to get, well, first of all, on Rubio. I saw him yesterday. Unbelievable. I got to tell you, I followed the guy for a long time, Jimmy. I was for Trump, obviously, in 2016. He called him Little Marco, stuff like that. We beat him here in Virginia in the primary when I was chairman. That basically ended his campaign. But yesterday and the last couple of days, I mean, I'm floored by the guy. He's something else, man. I think he has. I don't even know what the word to describe him is, but I don't think we could be here without him. He is doing a phenomenal job, and he's tough. And I've seen a different Marco Rubio than I've seen in the past. Is that just me, or are you seeing the same thing?
So Marco and I served in the state legislature together. He was my first speaker, and the guy has always been dynamic. He's always been a leader. And look, when he decided to run for president, He's passionate and he's very intelligent. He's a hard worker. But that defeat to Trump back in 2016 was a heck of a learning experience for him. So now he's looking, as he is, the sitting Secretary of State. He is the world's, I call him the second greatest diplomat because President Trump is the diplomat for our country. And Marco has really taken this opportunity to leverage all of his knowledge of Central and South America. He's always been a foreign policy hawk, but he's just a brilliant guy, and he's young and enthusiastic, and he's good looking. He's got a great family. So just well-rounded all the way. And he's come from a very difficult upbringing, which I think gives him a lot of humility and understanding what other parts of the world go through.
I think if he runs for president, I would say right now, I don't know what him and Vance are going to do, but good luck beating this guy. I mean, he is really something else. What I saw yesterday, I mean, that was real leadership. And look, I've been around a long time. I'm in DC. You know how it is, Jimmy. There's a lot of fakers around. You just know who they are. Come on, man. We both know it. This guy's for real. Okay, Minnesota, the shooting. Your reaction?
So, I hate when we've got these different types of video angles out there that create the what if moments with it. Look, there's no two ways about it. The driver of the automobile was disrupting, what ICE was trying to do and uphold federal law. And then as she was trying to be asked to stop, because you know what, if you're going to get in the way, all right, then let's make sure you're not, up to other nefarious things. Then she tries to, run over a cop. I mean, as she was been told multiple times to stop. Again, very unfortunate. I hate for any loss of life to take place, but you can't turn around and use your automobile as a weapon and try to run over a law enforcement officer. You know what? If she'd have simply, worked and communicated with what they were asking her to do, she would still be here today. But this is where, people are allowing their emotions to get the best of them. They're not respecting law enforcement. And to get to your comment earlier about the safer D.C., one thing that I learned when I was in Florida, people will not invest. They will not create good schools, good churches, strong communities unless it's safe. Businesses will not want to relocate and create jobs unless it's safe. And this is exactly what President Trump is trying to do in our country right now. And unfortunately, we just have some really some crazy individuals that are starting to show their true colors. And on stage right now is the state of Minnesota and Minneapolis and the horrific turn of events that's happening there. Whether it be wasting of federal funds, whether it be the harm that's taken place to our own law enforcement just trying to do their stinking job.
Are riots coming?
I think Tim Walz right now, it's crazy to say this, but I think Tim Walz is probably thinking, thank God there's some type of distraction to the investigations that are happening to himself right now with these investigations. So, I think, President Trump's not going to stand for chaos to happen. And really, what is still a great part of the country. There's a lot of good people that come out of the state of Minnesota, but unfortunately, we got some terrorists there, and they've been allowed to grow and infiltrate those markets. And it's going to have to be a settled to. Elections have consequences, and I tell people all the time: if you don't get involved with the election process, you get the government you deserve. I really hope riots don't ensue. But this is not a president I would want to riot against either.
Tell me about government looming shutdown January 13th. Obviously, the Democrats did this one time. One of your colleagues, I guess it's the Democrat whip, whatever her name is, said, we need to have Americans suffer. It's like part of what we need to do to gain power. So they've already tipped their hand on that. How do you guys avert a shutdown again, which is just going to hurt? Like the Democrats want to shut down because GDP goes down, everybody's upset, and it helps them win in November, even though people suffer as a result of it. They don't care. How do you avoid that? January 31.
Well, right. So like today, we've got 3 more appropriations bills. So there's 12 appropriations bills. We've already passed 3. We will have another 3 on the floor today. So that leaves us halfway there to getting all the appropriations bills passed between now and the end of the month. So we're aggressively trying, every time we get an appropriations bill settled and passed, that is taking one more debate off the floor and making sure government stays open and operational. The Democrats know that they do not have policies that are helping the American family. They realize they have no message, and it's evident of what we were all saying in Inside Baseball, that the Democrats were holding up the government in the last election cycle because they were trying to effectively make sure their base shows up. What is becoming more and more evident that the Democrats, being obstructionists, seems to help them with their base. I mean, there's just a lot of people who have Trump derangement syndrome. But at the end of the day, the more that they only can hold back the line so far. And it's just like, as they were making such a stink over healthcare policy and how they had to have healthcare policy fixed during the last government shutdown, they caved. It had nothing to do with healthcare policy. It was 100% about making sure that the Mandamis of the world and the horrific outcome of the Virginia elections were what they were. So they were just trying to have insurance that they will be victorious in those most recent elections.
Are you confident to get a deal done?
I am. I feel good about it. Mike Johnson is a saint. The man is working hard. He's holding people's hands. And look, it's very difficult to have perfect legislation when we essentially have a 1-seat majority in the House of Congress. And I tell people all the time, I was in the restaurant business for 30 years. You got a first place when it comes to waiting tables, you name it. You got a first place and a last place and everything in between. And it's no different than when Congress is. I mean, I tell you people all the time, there's a lot of really good members of Congress. They're decent people. They love this country. They love their constituents. They're up here for the right reasons. And then we got some stinking terrorists. You got people out there that are fine blowing things up because of their ego-driven. They want to cater to their fringe supporters out there because they want to go capture small dollar donors. And that's fine and well, but we've got a country to run. And look, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. We've got to keep this government running. We've got to allow President Trump's agenda to play out. We got to allow all the Trump tax cuts from the one big beautiful bill start to trickle down to the everyday households. And it is coming, but none of this stuff affects the household overnight, as just getting fuel prices where they're appreciative, but we still have inflation on other goods and services that still have not fully corrected yet.
Tell our audience very quickly, I got a couple more questions, Jimmy. I know we're a little behind here. Jimmy Patronis with us, Congressman, Republican, 1st District of Florida. That's the Panhandle, Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, etc. Jimmy, the health care bill that you guys passed, the new bill that allows bidding in between insurance companies that's supposed to bring down rates. You passed that in the House, dead in the water in the Senate. What impact would that have if we could get rid of the filibuster and get that passed in the Senate?
The filibuster is definitely a two-edged sword. I'm more of the mindset I like where the president is. We've got to get policies passed.
Right.
And I think he is right that as soon as the Democrats, if they have a chance to be back in control of the Senate, they will get rid of the filibuster, and they're going to stack the Supreme Court. Right. They're going to turn, Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. into states, right. And they will just try to ensure that they control things. With the health care bill that we're saying, look, instead of writing the subsidy check straight to the insurance carriers and bypassing the policyholder, let's send those dollars to the policyholder as a form of a health savings account, and then you're empowered to go shop it whatever way you see. And look, there's different plans, some of a regional nature, some of a national nature. Depending on what you need, you will have those dollars to go and have leverage when it comes to negotiating, and you'll buy something that makes sense for your budget. Giving the dollars directly to the insurance companies. It's something that has now become full disclosure of how much influence they have over the Democratic Party.
Jimmy Patronis with us. Okay, final thing. Yesterday, when I was at the White House, President Trump signed an executive order. This is good. This is one of my favorite executive orders of his since he's been there in a year. He signed an executive order that prohibits companies like BlackRock and other investment firms, hedge funders, if you will, from buying up entire neighborhoods and developments of housing in order to buy them up, rent them out. It does two things. It creates a shortage of housing because they own them all, and then they jack up the rents because people need somewhere to live. And so it also harms young people from the dream of home ownership because prices get driven up because they've taken supply, whatever little supply we have in the housing market, they take it off the market by buying them all. Trump signed an executive order yesterday saying you can't do that. You can't buy over one house in one area, period. That's got to get codified by Congress. Give me your reaction to that, and can you guys codify that?
I'm glad to be the sponsor of that House and in the House Representatives, that bill in the House Representatives. I hope it works. These investment firms have got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. So now they're going out in lock, stock, and barrel. They're basically creating monopolies in markets where I think the average age of a home buyer now is 43 years old. I mean, so to me, one of the best forces for good is home ownership.
Right.
And when you make that unattainable, you think about when you own a home, you know what you do? You show up to work. You take care of your neighborhood. You take care of that investment. You pay attention to things called property tax bills. You then pay attention to insurance rates. You become a more engaged part of your community, and you're going to fight like hell to make sure your home doesn't lose value. If you don't have that ability to have skin in the game on your biggest investment you ever make in your house, in your life, a home, then you're taking all of those powerful contributing factors to a strong community off the table. So I love what President Trump is doing. Unfortunately, these guys found a crack to exploit, and President Trump is just simply filling the crack, saying you're not going to do it anymore.
And this is why I asked you the question. You're the sponsor of this bill. I would be shocked if you can't get 50 Democrats to back this thing, right?
Well, I would think that, it makes common sense. There's not I don't know how you defend the actions that they're doing. Some people say, oh, well, this is, getting involved with capitalism. No, it's not. I mean, these guys are taking advantage of a set of circumstances and making money off of it. So look, I love profit. Profit's a good thing, but not when you're exploiting it. We've got things that are called monopolies in this country,
right,
and they have to be regulated. Power companies, they're regulated, so they only can make a certain amount of profit, so they don't take advantage of the customers that they serve. This is no different.
All right, we got to go. I want to thank you, Jimmy. You got to come on more. We got to get you on a weekly basis. Let me just give a quick shout out to your communications director, Ashlyn Stradinger. She did a super job. She was very persistent in getting you on, and we're going to have you on a regular basis. Really enjoyed the convo, sir. Thank you.
Ashlyn's a rock star. Thank you for doing that.
Hey, people want to follow you, Jimmy. Where do they go? How do they get a hold of you?
It's at Jimmy Patronis, at JIMMY PATRONIS. I would love to follow. My DMs are open. I'm very accessible.
I also love the fact that I can call you Jimmy, and I don't have to go with like James or like Congressman. Or
my birth certificate says Jimmy.
You're just Jimmy. See, I love that, man. You fit our show. Speaking of fitting our show, coming up next, your friend, Buddy Carter. He goes by Buddy. Buddy Carter.
Yeah, I had dinner with Buddy last night.
I know he's right. He's right. Your neighbor there in Savannah, right over the border.
And I tell you, Buddy's an expert on healthcare policy. You got some tough questions, ask him. He can definitely explain it better than anybody in the business.
He's a pharmacist. We're gonna ask him, but I'll tell you something else. I predicted yesterday. Don't count this guy out in the Senate race, Jimmy, and you might want to give him. You might want to give him a donation because he's coming up the rail. We call him a railbird, right? You got this big battle. Derek Dooley, I don't know, he's stuck in the mud. Your friend Collins there got all kinds of issues going on. Buddy Carter can win this thing. I'm telling you, he might be the guy. So just saying, he's coming up next.
Well, I don't think Derek Dooley has voted in an election in Georgia in the last 20 years. I kind of think, you don't. I know it's your right to vote when you want to vote. All right, that's fine, but don't tell me you want to be in governance and you've been asleep at the wheel for the last 20 election cycles. So
it's a tough sell.
That's right. That's right.
Jimmy, it's a tough sell. Okay, Buddy Carter's chomping at the bit. I got Hazley banging on me. Jimmy, thanks for being with us. Thank you.
When you do one of those social lubrication sessions, I'll come and bring some brown water.
The first thing I'm going to do is reach out to you and we'll go meet up at the Capitol Hill Club. I really enjoyed it, but I got to get to Buddy because he's chomping at the bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
No segue. Jimmy made the segue. We're going to get right to Buddy Carter.